Hi, I'm Megan and I'm a baby wearing educator. I was receiving some questions with using a wrap conversion Meh Dai, and so I wanted to do a video on both how to use one and highlighting some differences about different types of them. So for today's video, I'm going to use a Fidella Meh Dai. If you go online to go shopping, you might see it called a Fidella FlyTai. I choose to use the words Meh Dai and baby because of the cultural history of the carrier. It's inspired by other Asian carriers and has been modernized and updated and more designed by different brands, but that, since those are its roots, that's what I want to refer to it as. So today I'm using the Fidella. My Fidella happens to be blue. It is a Meh Dai that offers a padded waist. So the sides are just fabric, but the waist that'll sit across the front of your body, it actually has some soft padding and some seaming. It offers a panel that's going to hold and support baby. That's this big rectangle. And on the Fidella, it actually has cinches built in across the sides, the bottom, and up at the top. It has a hybrid wrap strap. So it has a wrap material as it straps, but it also offers the thin padded strap that you might be familiar with on either a soft structured carrier or more common on like canvas Meh Dais, if you've heard of Baby Hawk or Moby Meh Dais. They have just a thinner strap that's sort of padded and then ends with just material. So this carrier offers both the wrap strap and the thin padded strap. The padding does end, 12, 16 inches after. So the idea is that the shoulder padding actually will stay on your shoulder, and the rest of the strap is just going to be the material, a single layer of wrap, and that's going to be what you can spread across your back and across your baby. The Fidella does have a hood, and you can pull its little straps to cinch it, and it ties off with these two little loops. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to be using my hood, so I'm going to try and tuck it in. That way it's not visually distracting as we're talking about tightening. So that's a Meh Dai, your waist, your panel, and your shoulder straps. And this one's uniqueness is, or specific to the brand, is the padding, the hybrid in the padding, and the cinchability. So I'm going to use my demo doll Sally, and I'm going to talk about how to put her in the Fidella and how to tighten my straps comfortably and supportably. And there are many ways you can do it that are right. I'm just going to show a few ways that'll help hopefully make the Fidella's design make more sense. So with the Fidella on a Meh Dai, I can either choose to do an apron waist, which is where I let the carrier hang down, warning tag showing, and tie off. And then I would put my baby here and bring my panel up. Or I can do an apron style, more like a soft structure carrier, and that's where your warning labels are going to end up going against your body, and the carrier is sort of upright, so you can see it's a lot of strap there. There you go. All right, so that's how I'm going to use this one today. That's my preferred fit. With the padding, I find that that's more comfortable on me, and I like all my warning labels out of the way. Ever since all the new regulations came out, we have a lot of really large warning labels on carriers, so if I can make them hidden between me and baby, that's my preferred. All right, so I tied a double knot behind my back with my waist strap. Something I really like about the Fidella is the waist strap actually ends with a curve. This means that after everything's all done and finished and you go to take baby down, you're like, which strap is this, which strap is this? You know that one's your waist because it has these curved finishes. All right, so I've tied my waist on, double knot. And you want to see that I've actually tied this around my waist. It's not down here at my hips. It's not up here at my chest. You can kind of hear my safety tag wrinkling in the background there. I'm aiming for my waist. And I want to have it tied snugly enough that I don't have a gap right here. I don't want my baby going anywhere. But I also don't want it so tight I can't breathe. So generally when I tie that knot, I'll tie it first not really tight. But you see you can kind of get a little slack. So I tie it a little tighter than I need because I know I'm going to find some slack. So now I'm going to end up picking up my baby and putting my baby in this panel, pulling the panel up. I'll tuck my hood in so that you can see. And then I'm going to tighten up my straps. There are different ways that you can tighten your straps or wear your straps. And really it's what's comfortable and safe for you guys. So I put my baby Sally onto my body, help bring her into a nice spread squat right here. always supporting her body because the carrier is not yet supporting her body, and I bring my panel up behind her. Put my shoulder straps over my shoulders just so that you can see where they go. And for me, on today's demo, I'm gonna also tuck this hood in here, just so that on an already busy pattern, it's not more busyness. Okay, so now I've got Sally. I want, since I have that cinchable panel, to ensure that my cinch at the waist allows Sally's knee support to exist, but not to go past her knees. I also want to make sure, since I have the height adjust, that my panel supports up to her shoulder, maybe back of her neck, but I don't want her to be hidden in there. I don't want her to be down in there. And I just have a hood that's making it wrinkly. There we go. Okay. So I'm supporting my baby, and I have my wrap straps. Now, because these are these hybrid style straps, there's a few different ways you can think about wearing them. I could bunch them up so you can notice that my wrap part is all hidden underneath, and use them as narrow straps. I can spread them out and use them as wider spread straps like this. Okay, neither one's gonna be right or wrong. It's whatever's comfortable on you. So first I'm gonna start with them narrow so that you can see what's going on a little bit easier, and then I'll talk about spreading them out. So when I use a Meh Dai, after I get my baby in the panel and I have both my shoulder straps, I like to reach my opposite hand, so this hand to this strap, behind my back, and I want to pull straight down. And that does a few things for me. First of all, it'll close this gap that you sometimes get here by pulling it straight back. Second, if I go too quickly to pulling to my side, I end up pulling the strap up on my neck. And you'll see people walking around and they have an X right up here. And I find that that's really uncomfortable, and it can cause you to bend your body in a strange way, and that ends up being uncomfortable to the wearer, not just the wearee. So with my strap kind of bunched together and the wrap portion underneath the padded portion, I'm gonna take my opposite hand right here. I'm gonna pull straight back. I kind of lift up on my baby's bum just a little bit to make sure that if there's any panel slack that I'm getting that out. And you can see how that changed. It went, you know, it got snug here. They look different. And I pulled straight down. And now I'm gonna bring the strap to my side and over to my front. So now this hand is holding my baby and my strap, so I can switch and do the same. My carrier is not yet secure for me to let go of my baby. So that's why it's really important that here I'm switching and I'm holding tension on the strap while I'm also holding my baby. So I'll do the same thing. I'll start by pulling down. And sometimes when you pull down, you'll be like, that gap's not closing, that gap's not closing. That's where lifting up on your baby, or sometimes rolling your shoulder to help reduce friction, because your fabric is on your shirt, can help. Then I'll bring my across my back. You'll see how my X is nice and low on my back versus it being up high on the back of my neck. So now I've got it up here. Now depending on your carrier, the length straps, your body, you might want to come up here and tie and finish. But on me, with this specific carrier, that is a whole lot of strap that I'm going to trip on. So I bring my straps over my baby's legs, I cross them into an X, and then I bring them under my baby's legs. So basically my baby is sitting on an X. So you have both options. You can choose to tie off, double knot right here, right at your baby's diaper area, and have little tails, long tails, depending on your carrier, or you can choose to make an X right there. If you have a particularly small baby in a wrap conversion carrier, sometimes when you do this cross underneath, you feel like there's too much fabric under your baby's legs. If that's true, you can do what I've always heard of as a Lexi twist, and I just come down here and I do an extra twist. And now you'll notice my waist straps actually come a lot lower, and they're below my baby's legs. I don't find it as much of an issue in a Meh Dai. I find it more of an issue with a woven wrap sometimes. So, got my bunch straps, snug shoulders, nice low X. I came over my baby's first leg, cross, under my baby's second leg, and now I can tie off behind me. Depending on the brand you have and their strap length, if you can choose to tie more to the side, I find that really helpful. So why is this helpful? When I go to take my baby down, it's really important that I do my shoulder straps first, not my waist. Now Fidella is fabulous, and they have actually finished their straps differently. My shoulder straps have this nice blunt finish. My waist straps have the nice curve finish. So even if you tie off right on top of each other, you can reach back and feel for which set of straps you want to untie first. But not all carriers have that. A lot of them have the same rectangular finish on all of their straps. And when you reach back, it sometimes becomes tricky because both your straps came around your waist to figure out which set of straps you want to undo. So one thing that I like to do is just tie my shoulder strap slightly to the side. When it's time to get my baby down, I know exactly which pair of straps that I want to use. So to take my baby down, I'm going to do the same thing here. Untie, keeping tension in my hand, put a hand on my baby, bring my straps around, and then come to take my baby down over my shoulder. Okay, so that is how I do my straps when it's narrow. So we talked about pulling straight back, then across to keep that X nice and low. I had my straps bunched, and I talked about tying off the side. There's one more trick that I always like to talk about, and that's what to do with all this length before I've even started. So I'm not moving very far in the camera, but oftentimes when you are wearing your baby, you'll want to set your baby in a safe surface. And for me to set my demo doll Sally on the counter, it's pretty safe, she's not rolling. But for your baby, that might mean a change pad, the floor, pack and play. That often means that you're wrapping and tying off your carrier here, and then you have to walk somewhere else. And all of these can become a trip hazard. So if you do have to move somewhere, I find it really helpful when you're learning to use a Meh Dai to learn to tuck your straps somewhere. So for me, just gathered them up, and I'm just gonna tuck them in the top of my waistband. They're not pulled through, they're not knotted. It's just enough that it means that if I have to walk over here to hush a baby or settle somebody or to get a bottle ready or to appease a 2-year-old before I go and get a baby, that I don't trip on my straps. So let me see if I can show you what I got going on. It's really fancy looking. So they're just tucked in. This is my whole strap. Just sort of fold it so that it's gonna end up somewhere around my knee, and then I just tuck in a couple inches. It's a really great look. You should definitely go out looking like this. Okay, so I have the Fidella, which has these hybrid padded wrap straps, so I can wear them all bunched, or my preferred, since I have a 3-year-old, I like to wear them spread out. I find that that gives better distribution of the weight on my back. I find that it gives more support to my baby in the front. I find that when I'm in that leaning phase where your kid does a lot of this in the carrier, it prevents some of that because they have a second layer of support. I also find for a larger kid, if they're larger than the panel, which is totally safe for them to be beyond that knee to knee, it gives me a way to help sort of extend my panel by spreading that extra wrap width into that space between the panel and their knee pin. So I'm going to use Sally again as my demo doll, and I'm going to put her back in my carrier, fold the hood back in so you can hopefully see, and I'm going to talk about tightening your straps rail by rail, which if you're familiar with a woven wrap, you have a top seam and a bottom seam. Your top is your top rail and your bottom is your bottom rail. On the Fidella, my top rail is going to be the one closest to my neck, which if you think about holding this like this one up here, that's the top. My bottom rail is going to be the one closer to my elbow. And what I want to make sure that it's, instead of pulling the whole strap, that I end up tightening it to fit around my body's curves, which means this top strap and this bottom strap might have to be tightened at slightly different amounts to fit my body right. So I'm going to do that with Sally in the carrier. So again, I have my waist on, double knotted, pick up my baby, help them settle, bring her into a nice spread squat on my front, bring my carrier panel up, and again, I'm going to tuck this hood in, so I kind of have an awkward moment here, but hopefully that makes the visual a little bit easier at home. So I've got her in my panel, she's supported knee to knee. I'm going to bring my shoulder straps over my shoulder, and you notice I'm still tucked on my sides here. It's not in my way, it's not preventing me from doing all these pieces. It just means that as I am doing kind of that mama shuffle or that parenting shuffle, that I haven't tripped on my straps. Okay, so I'm going to start again with this hand and this strap. I'm going to unhook it from my waist belt, boop. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to reach back, and instead of grabbing the whole strap, I'm just going to grab that top rail, the one closest to my neck. And I'm going to lift up a little bit on my baby and pull straight back. I might need to, if I'm having friction issues, roll my shoulder a little bit as I pull. Then I'm going to sort of creep my hand to the other side. This is where this other rail is, so you can better see that visual, and tighten that separate rail if I need to. So basically I've created this little cap shoulder. I'm going to untack this shoulder strap, Keep in mind, I'm doing things a little bit more obvious on a video, but you should have your hand on your baby right now. So on my back, I now have this spread out instead. This gives me a better distribution of weight. And you'll also notice that my hands are in kind of two different places. Even if they're in the exact same place, as I come across my body, this is a curve and a shape, and so it's going to tighten slightly differently. And that's where being able to tighten this top rail, this bottom rail separately allows me to get a nice snug fit. Okay. So again, we have our hand on baby. I bring my hand around. So now I have one hand holding my carrier and holding my baby, giving me that support. So I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll do this one for real, not with two hands. So I got my shoulder strap up here, padding on my shoulder. I'm gonna pull straight down, creep my hand over. You can kind of see that shoulder tighten up just a little bit there. Bring him around. All right, so now I have both my shoulder straps in front of me. My baby is now being held by this carrier. So if I need to sort of work through a little bit of slack right here, like, I can do that. You can see how nicely this is now spread out and capping my shoulders. And you can see I still have a really low X, but my X is also more spread out on my back now. Okay, so we started with this shoulder, which is this side now because I made an X on my back. I'm gonna pin this one between my knees just so that it's not in my way. I'm gonna bring my pass and do the same thing, like over my baby, under my baby, and around my back. So I go over my baby's first leg, and then I collect up my fabric and go under my baby's second leg. So now you can see I have this nice spread out pass. So this is where if my baby is a leaner, this top rail right here being snug, baby ain't gonna lean. This is where if my baby was past knee to knee, I could bring this material further down into their knee pit. I could start my pass a little bit sooner, like over here if that was my baby's leg, to help keep it all in there. My Sally fits pretty well, so I'm just gonna come over my panel, knee pit to knee pit, and have this nice diagonal pass across her. And then it's gonna go under Sally's next leg. Now at this pass, for me personally, I often end up just pinching it up in here in my arm. If you want to hold it and hold your baby, great. If you want to pin it between your thighs, I often don't have enough slack to bring this back around front to pin it. So if I'm going to pin it, I have to pin it behind me. I prefer, when possible, to hold it in my hand and hold my baby in that hand. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now, since I have been having this pinned between my leg, I might need to do a little tightening. Bring this pass, spread out over my baby's first leg, gather it toward my baby's knee pit, under my baby's leg. Sorry, this is the one pass that I'm just holding. So you can see that I've got a nice spread out on my back, nice spread up os baby. And then they kind of bunch together and now I'm behind my back. And I really like this support here. That to me feels super nice. And so now I can tie off. And if you do have the luxury of having a little bit of slack and you want to tie off to the side, that way when you go to take baby down, you remember which side to take her down. That'll make it easier. All right, so hopefully I moved my hands enough times that you could see what I was doing. Keep in mind, in real life, you'll have a real baby, so you always need one hand on baby when the carrier isn't secured yet. At times I try to show you something, so I kind of have to move both my hands to be able to show you. All right, now as you do this, I will say there's a learning curve to learning how to work out that slack. So you'll notice right now, pretty good. If I like fine tune anything, maybe I pull right here, I'm like, oh, I've got a little bit of slack. Come back to that top rail, nope, he's pretty good. Come back to that bottom rail, oh, I got a little bit of slack. I can feed that around. And then I can untie, retie with that slack pulled into it. All right, so now I'm gonna take my baby down. Same thing as before, you wanna find your shoulder pass, which for me is tied off to the side over here. If you have the Fidella, you can also look for the tails. My shoulder pass has that nice square tail. And then go ahead and untie. Untie again. You'll notice I'm holding both tails. This is so I keep tension on my carrier. When I'm gonna let go of my tails, I need to have my hand on my baby. I'm gonna now untie, untie. Keep switching to have a hand on a baby. Shoulder down, I'm gonna pop my shoulder into its waistband so I don't trip. Tuck my shoulder down, pop my waistband in so I don't trip. Now I can take my baby out of the panel and transition her to a safe surface. Okay, so that's using a Fidella Meh Dai on the front with those wrap strap hybrid straps that go from padded to wrap. And this happens to be the new size or the standard size Fidella. It has the cinchable panel, a padded waist, and I think that's all I got. Awesome.